Hey folks, this is Dr. Jones. Today we're going to be taking a look at the business premium collection in the databases and how to do a search in the business premium collection. Again, go to campbellsville.libguides.com/az.php to get to the databases part. Click on premium collection and it'll take you to this page right here. So if you go to this page here, you can start an advanced search. We're at the basic search entry level. We want to go to the advanced search. And as we've done before, I'm going to put in ethic asterisk, looking for that in the subject areas. I'm going to go ahead and do business as well. I've shown you the reason for doing that in an earlier set of searches out there. And the reason being that, if we don't put the business part in there, we get a lot about ethics, ethic, whatever in these subjects up here. But then we get ethics in medicine and so on like that. And we really are looking at business ethics for this course. Make sure you click on full text and on peer reviewed. Come down here. We're going to be taking a look at, we're not as worried about some of the sources, but we do want scholarly journals. I'm not worried about the manuscript type. We do want articles for document type. You can go down here and choose that you want English for your language, unless you want to search in some other things. And then I'm going to keep all these databases. And you may have noticed from that first page that it's looking at 3 different databases, including ABI Inform Global, Career Technical Education Database, and the ProQuest Dissertations and Theses. Okay, so what you're doing partially is you are pulling again from ABI Global, but we're doing it among some other databases as well. So we're going to do this one. We then click on search, and it comes up with a little over 5,600 results. Now I could have tried a yearly or publication date modification. I'm going to do that here. If I pull across, that allows me to go to the decade of 2010 to 19 and include 2020 in there. We'll update that, and then we'll come down, we'll update it further and go to 15 so that you're searching from 2015 on up. So that's our date range out there for 5 years. We're still at full text, peer reviewed, looking at scholarly journals out there. We've removed about half of the journals, articles that we've done before. You could click on subjects like business ethics and so on. I'm not going to worry about that. We already are wanting to look at articles, and right now we have 2793, and if we clicked on article here, it still gets us the 2793. I don't care about really the rest of them, so we'll leave that one alone. We already designated English as the primary language, and I could look at more specific journals if I said that I wanted to look at the Social Responsibility Journal or the Journal of Business Ethics, where the largest percentage of the articles we pulled up comes from. I could do that, but I'm not asking you to look at a specific journal out there. And then for other filters, you could limit it to the United States if you wanted to, but I'm not doing that. We could go in and select only which specific databases. Since we did not choose master's theses or doctoral dissertations, we're not getting anything from that database out there. I don't care about who the person is that wrote it or who it's about, and I'm not looking at a specific company or publication title that has done this. So I'm going to just update on this passage with just which years we're looking with, and that's all. Okay, so I've got 2,793 possible results out there. I could pare it down with other search terms, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to go here. And it looks for the stuff that's most relevant. And so um, it's worth just to look and see what's out there. So I'm going to pull up this very first one, which it considers to be the most relevant to my search all the way through. Ethics and workplace productivity. Here's the abstract for it. And literally what you're getting in this, if you looked at the PDF on this one, what you would find is that this is an opinion piece where they do a meta-analysis. Now, let me explain what a meta-analysis is. They are looking at what's already been published out there and drawing some conclusions that they see are common to a good number of other research pieces out there. So they're not doing their own research in the sense that they did a study of people by survey or experiment or anything like that. What they have done is they've looked at other people's. And in reality, what they've done is they've also looked at another study that did some of that. And this is an interesting article to read, and it's maybe worthwhile for you to do, but it's really not as useful for our purposes here. So I'm not telling you don't read this. I'm just saying it's not really the kind of article that you want for an article review here. But it is a common type of article out there where somebody says, okay, here's what everybody else is saying and all these other studies out there. Are there some conclusions that we can draw from the research that's out? And that's what this one is. And they're looking at workplace productivity and ethics. Okay, that's reasonable. Well, how about this? Value enhancing social responsibility, market reaction to donations by family versus non-family firms with religious CEOs. Now that's a pretty interesting thing. So let's click on that and see where that leads us. Here's the abstract. Using a signaling framework, we argue that ethical behavior as evidenced by charitable donations is viewed more positively by investors when seen not to be based on self-serving motives, but rather on authentic generosity that builds moral capital. So here's the first thing that they're saying. Their study is trying to say that if a company invests in some organization through a charitable donation, not to make money, but makes a charitable donation to an organization, and they do it not for profit motives, like they're going to make money out of it, or because they want people to think better of them, that they want people to feel, get a false sense of the ethicality of this company, but rather because they really believe in what the organization's doing and they think it's worthwhile for them to make that donation. That on the outside, that the investors will view them more positively. Well, yeah, okay, that makes a lot of sense. If I do a good deed, and I do it because it's a good deed, not because I want everybody to think, oh, there's Mr. Good Deed Doer, that makes a lot of sense. I will look better in people's eyes if it looks like I have the right motivation. But now here's something interesting that they come up with. The affirmed religiosity of CEOs may make their ethical position more credible. In other words, if a CEO has shown to be a religious person. Now, religiosity is a specific research term, and it doesn't mean that you're a part of a certain religion. It means that you have certain religious beliefs. And there's a whole set of studies about that if you're interested at all in looking at religiosity and why people become religious or demonstrate religious behaviors. So if the CEO is someone who's looked at as being religious in some form or fashion, their ethical position will be more credible. So if you get somebody who's not religious, but does something nice out there, their ethical position will come into question more often than if you get somebody who has a religious position that they do. Not that they're a pastor or something like that, but that they demonstrate ethical uh, properties out there. And when somebody like that does something, then taking this ethical position of a charitable donation to an organization, that will look more credible than if they didn't. Their embeddedness within a family business suggests that the CEO that the CEOs are backed by powerful owners with long time horizons, trying to build moral capital with stakeholders. So if you're in a family business versus a non-family firm, if you're in a family business, that tends to be run by a stronger group of people. Family businesses are like that. And all of this is more credible and will have more powerful outside reactions than if you didn't. So they studied 1,572 corporate donations by 1,500 S&P firms, Standard & Poor's firms. And they found that financial markets react more positively to those situations. Religious CEOs in family-based firms, their actions were perceived more positively by the financial markets than other types of donations out there. And it had to be a family business for that kind of thing. So if you were to take this article, and please don't because I'm looking at it right now, but if you were to take this article, you would then take a look at the different studies that they had looked at. You go through their literature review and see how they set up the whole idea. Then you'd come and take a look at what their hypotheses are and be able to say, okay, here's what they're trying to prove out there. So you see hypothesis one, market reaction to donations made by firms with religious CEOs was more positive. Okay. Number two, donations made by firms with religious CEOs will engender more favorable market reaction for family versus non-family firms. The two major things they're trying to look at. Okay. So one, is the CEO religious? And two, is the CEO part of a family firm? Then the method here, that tells you how they set the study up. Where did they look for their data? How did they gather it? What was important to them? And what they came up with the variables, how they defined religiosity, how they defined a family firm, how they defined a positive reaction, etc. And it'll come up with, here's how we defined that, as in religion. And then this is the results. Here's what we found. After we looked at the data, here are the things that we found. And they put it in table form to make it easy for you to look at. So here are different variables here are different pieces of data that we looked at. And here were the means, the lower quartiles, median quartiles, upper quartiles, etc., and standard deviation. And then they look at correlations. So if they correlated, say, religion to family, so that would be 2 and 3. So this, you'd look at this over here and go to 2. And that number right there is the correlation coefficient for religion and family. And that's pretty low. But there are others that are pretty high. Okay, and you would have to go through and read what those were, what the results were. Now they tell you what those results are in this discussion out there, but they give you the data to look at and be able to draw some of your own conclusions with it. And then finally they come up with discussion Why is this important? Here, these were the results. Why is this important for you to understand? Did it confirm what we thought, or did it contradict what we thought? And then the conclusions that they have that they would draw based on everything that's in there. And that's what you would look at for an article of this type. Thanks for listening.